going to be in Joshua this week after taking a break for a week. We'll take a break next week. Joshua 13. Here's a quiz. Could you name the 12 tribes of Israel? Like if I gave you a pen and paper and said, write them all down. Who thinks you could? Raise your hand.
I was just going to say, are we talking old tribes?
Yeah, see? Because that's the thing, right? This is totally unrelated to today, but I was just kind of in it. I like your haircut, by the way. I didn't notice it until you took your hat off. It's like, okay, well, we got the sons of Jacob. That's 12. They all formed a tribe, right? But then we have the land that's allocated that we're reading about now in Joshua. That's not the same 12. I may do a sermon on this sometime. That's not the sermon today. And then we've got the 12 at the end, the 12 gates for the tribes. It's not the same. Those are 3 different lists. Isn't that interesting? So, yeah, it's like, which 12? Who are we leaving out and why? Who are we adding and why? That's like I said, that's a whole study and a whole sermon. But I was thinking about that as I was reading this, and these people are getting this land and these people are getting this land. So let's just get to it. Chapter 13 of Joshua. How many people here feel old? You two make me laugh. I laugh. I was telling a story earlier about my team sergeant, and he was 40, and he was like old. Like we considered him old, like grandpa old. And now 40's but a distant memory. Wow. What's that? Age is just a, what's that?
Number. It's relative.
Is that what it is? Number? Age is just a number? There is something to that. It's how you adjust your mind and keep your body. It's really what it is. But let's look at this. Now, Joshua was old and stricken in years. Does anybody have a different word than stricken in years?
Advanced.
What?
Advanced.
Advanced in years. So we can take it from this that whether you feel old or not, you're not even 30 yet. Joshua was, are you 30? You looked at me funny. Okay. Joshua was old. Okay, and he was advanced in years. And think about that. He's like General Joshua, right? He's leading this army that's taken over all this land for Israel. And yet he's old and he's doing that. It says he's old and he's stricken in years. And Yahweh said unto him, thou art old and stricken in years. So I guess he is. If the Father says he is, like, okay. And there remains yet very much land to be possessed. So here's the Father acknowledging to Joshua, who's probably starting to feel his age a little bit. I mean, conquering countries isn't the same as it used to be when you were 30, when you're old and advanced in your years. And he's saying, yep, you are old, Joshua, and yep, you are well advanced in your years, so we're going to give you a pipe and a little throw blanket and an easy chair, and you can chill, right? Is that what he says? He's like, no, heck no, there's a lot to do. And we can take that right there as the first lesson. It's not over till he says it's over. We don't get to decide, I think I'm just going to kick back and drink whatever, tea or Jack Daniels, whatever. It's not over till the Father says it's over. There was work to do. He had conquered, and I say he, we know it was the Father that was behind him, and it was the soldiers of Israel and stuff. But he had conquered a lot of land, but there was still a lot more to take. There was still a lot more land that had to be consolidated. And I'm just using the number half. I don't mean 50%. But the job's only half done. They still have to get the rest of this land together. Yeah, what is that? Check that out, Joe. Let us know. So here's another lesson for us. Has anybody ever done a task where you're like, I have a task to do, and I believe this is the Father's will that I do this task? Yeah. I have. Have you ever been doing a task like that? You're like, I think I'll quit now. It's just, I don't feel it anymore. And it's not over till he says it's over, and we don't leave a job half done. Like this, like I was talking about earlier, and I did not plan that to go that way. But it's just like, hey, we don't leave a job half done. We got to finish it. It's the Father's will that we do this. There's a race car up there. Wow. All right. We don't get to quit. This applies to at least two of us. Because you're old, or you're feeling old, or you're feeling unwell, or you're feeling unfit. Joshua was old and stricken in his years. And the Father says, but there's still stuff for you to do. You don't get to stop because you think you're tired. Now, no one said Joshua thinks he's tired, but just in general. All right, so we keep going until the Father tells us not to. And there remains yet very much land to be possessed. This is the land that yet remains. And then we're going to go through it, but we're going to do it. All the land of the borders of the Philistines and all Geshuri, from Sihor, where is before Egypt. Now, if you actually look at these places on a map, which this is not a geography class, it's a circuit. It's like, here's all the land, and it kind of goes around them with these places.
Did they own the stuff in the middle, Dad?
No, they came across, they kind of established a beachhead, if you will, or, a foothold in the land, and now they're taking this. Right. Which is before Egypt, even the borders of Ekron northward, which is counted to the Canaanite. 5 lords of the Philistines, the Gazathites and the Ashdothites and the Eshkalonites and the Gittites and the Ekronites and the Avites. If you're going to be an Ite, you want to be an Israelite because it doesn't go good for the other ones. From the south, all the land of the Canaanites and Merah that is beside the Sidonians. I have a little note there. Let's look at that. Sidonians. I don't know. Unto Aphek, to the borders of the Amorites, and the land of the Gilbites, and all Lebanon towards the sun rising, from Baal Gad under Mount Hermon, unto the entering of Hamath. All the inhabitants of the hill country, from Lebanon unto Mishrapoth-Maim, and all the Sidonians, them I will drive out from before the children of Israel, only divide thou it by lot unto the Israelites for an inheritance, as I have commanded thee. Now therefore divide this land for an inheritance unto the 9 tribes and the half tribe of Manasseh. Okay, again, if we were Israelites living in the land at this time when these place names were given, it would be just like us saying from Tulsa to Oklahoma City down to, whatever, dun-dun-dun. And so people are nodding. It's like, yeah, that's the land. And then here's the people that is in the land that we have to do. But a couple interesting things. Do you remember the land that was given away on the east side of the Jordan as they were coming in? So they came in from this way. Here's the Jordan River. There was 2.5 tribes that got land, right? On the other side.
Right.
That land was, Moses said, this, Cody, is your land. This is your land, and this is this half tribe of Manasseh's land. It was designated. That's your land. Well, in this land, this new land that the tribes are getting, they're doing it by lot. Anybody know how they did lots?
Urim and Thummim.
The Urim and Thummim. It was in a bag behind the breastplate of the high priest. And we're going to read about that in the next chapter, I think, which is not today. Yeah, Eleazar the priest. But it's like, okay, is this land yours or yours? It's yours. So it was done by lot. So it's different how it's being done. And so by doing that, the Israelites are forced to, my word, rely on, trust in Yahweh. That's what the whole Urim and Thummim is. He's making the decision. We're pulling out a black one or a white one, basically. And the decision is going to be made. And so the tribe has to, it's not like, hey, although we're going to see there is a little negotiating that goes on later also. This is either this tribe or this tribe's land. Let God decide. God wills it. This is your land. So they're learning, they're forced to, in a way, trust in Yahweh. And then it says, where was I? I will drive out, only divide it by lot. Command thee, therefore divide it. Wait, where does it say I will drive out? I have that on here. 7? No. There we go. 6. All the inhabitants of the hill country from Lebanon unto this other place, and all the Sidonians, them I will drive out from before the children of Israel. So it's occupied by bad people. But you have to trust in Yah that he's going to push the people out. So we're back to the same theme again, that if you are walking in the path that Yah wants you to walk in, if you are doing the things that Yah wants you to do, he's going to make a way for that to happen. And in this case, he's going to make sure that all these people get out of the way, one way or another. So they're trusting Yahweh to do that. But after they're given their land, okay, here's your allocation, here's your allocation, here's your allocation. Heretofore, they have been fighting as united Israel. All the tribes together are coming in and fighting, right, under Joshua. Now they're being given the land, and it's like, you guys go get your land, you go get your land, you go get your land. Don't worry, Yahweh's going to drive the people out from before you. But all of a sudden, you don't have your brother tribes on your left and your right when you're going forward to fight these people. So that makes you feel, in some ways it can, a little bit less secure. I don't have the might of the entire Israelite army with me as we go forward. That's my land. He said, go take it and possess it. So now you have to trust the Father even more. But the other thing is, it kind of goes back to last week when we were reading in Proverbs, personal responsibility. It is now your responsibility to take hold of this land, to secure it, to get it, to keep it. And so it's personal responsibility, it's initiative, it's action. It's not just, here's your land, go grow grapes and have a good life. You've got to go do this thing. I've given it to you, but you have to do it. I tell you what, I relate to this a lot. I bet you a lot of y'all relate to this. Here's this land we think we're given to, we know the Father's hand is in it and given it to us. It's like, how many people have moved on to their spread and it is just perfect? Right? Nobody. There's so much work to do still. But how many people here think that the Father put you where he put you on the land? So he put you there, and he said, here, this is for you, this is where I want you, but we got to work for it. And there's things we have to do to earn it. Earn it's not the right word. To show that we're worthy to continue the work that the Father's given us. He wants us to work. I think another lesson here, this land is given out by Lot, and it's like, here's your land. I'll drive the people out before you. This doesn't mean that as they're moving in, the people are running away. We all understand that, right? I'll drive them out before you. You're going to have to fight them, though. And so you're going to have to work at that. There are too many believers that basically wait for Yah to hand it to them on a silver platter, to give them something. If it's Yah's will, he'll give it to me. And there's evidently a Chinese phrase, because one of my guys used to know it, but I don't speak any Chinese, that translates roughly into standing on a mountaintop, mouth agape, waiting on a roast duck. And it symbolizes futility. It's like, if God wills it, a roast duck will drop right into my mouth, and everything will be fine, and it'll be a delicious dinner. No. He expects us to work for it and for us to take action. I heard another pastor one time talking about, people like, well, I'm waiting on Yah to show me if he wants me to go down this path in my life or this path in my life. Well, if that's your attitude, you're going to be waiting a long time, because what you need to start doing is moving down a path. And the Father will either bless it or curse it. Doors will open, doors will shut, but you need to be moving in a direction. You can't just wait there and go, well, if God wants me to get up this morning, I guess he'll wake me up. Right? If God wants me to take a shower today, I guess he'll turn it on. I mean, you got to do stuff. So there's that. All right, let's keep going. With whom the Reubenites and the Gadites, we're in 8, have received their inheritance, which Moshe gave them beyond the Jordan eastward. So Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh had their land on the other side, beyond the Jordan eastward, even as Moshe, the servant of the Lord, gave them. And then it goes where that is. From Aroer, that is upon the bank of the river Arnon, and the city that is in the midst of the river, all the plain of Medeba unto Dibon, and all the cities of Sihon, we talked about him last time, king of the Amorites, which reigned in Heshbon unto the border of the children of Ammon, and Gilead, the border of Geshurites and the Mahakathites, and all of Mount Hermon, and all of Bashan and Salcah, and the kingdom of Og, remember him, we talked about him last time, in Bashan, which reigned in Ashtaroth unto Edrei, who remained of the remnant of the giants, for these did Moshe smite and cast them out. Nevertheless, the children of Israel expelled not the Gershurites or the Maacathites, but the Gershurites and the Maacathites will dwell among the Israelites unto this day. So it's kind of summing up the land. Here's what's going on, and it's going back to the east side of the Jordan and talking about Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh. Man, I was thinking about this, and I think I'll probably bring this up next time we talk about this. I'll just give you a little foretaste right now. It's interesting to me, and it gets back to the 12 tribes sort of, how we've got this tribe of Manasseh. Does anybody know where Manasseh came from? Joseph. So Joseph was one of the 12 tribes, and then all of a sudden Joseph goes away, and his son Manasseh and his son Ephraim become separate tribes. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of interesting. One tribe becomes two, and then we've got this one of those tribes is Manasseh, and Manasseh, they split in half. And we've got the eastern Manassehites, and the western Manassehites. And it kind of reminds me of one of our camps. I don't want to, we're on YouTube, but it's like we got this half and this half of it, and it kind of splits. There's a river between them. Do you think that they start doing their own things a little bit differently because of that? You know they do. They're one tribe, the tribe of Manasseh, but they start referring to them as the half tribe of Manasseh and the half tribe of Manasseh. The eastern Manasseh and the western Manasseh. I just thought that was really interesting how that was going on. Just that. We can draw that out later. So, 14. Only unto the tribe of Levi he gave no inheritance. The sacrifices of Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, made by fire, are their inheritance, as he said unto them. And so as all this land is being parceled out to the 12 tribes, here's a hint. When you look, there's 12 parcels of 12 tribes are given lands. Levi's not one of them. Oh, wait, is Levi not one of the 12 tribes? Right? Well, here's these other 12 tribes. I mean, it's kind of interesting how that goes. But what do the Levites get instead of land?
The offerings.
Which is financial stability, security. They don't have to worry about growing wheat and growing sheep and goats and stuff like that, because that's part of what they get for being the Levites is everybody brings them offerings, and they get to eat of those offerings, right? Many of them, most of them. And so that's what they're getting. They don't have any land of their own per se, like a contiguous piece of land, but they get financial stability because they're serving Yah. 15. And Moshe gave unto the tribe of the children of Reuben inheritance according to their families. And then it goes like verse 16 through 23, all the places. I'm just not going to read out loud all these names of places that are just, they sound like just foreign names. But this is what Reuben got. And then in verse 24, and Moshe gave inheritance unto the tribe of Gad, even unto the children of Gad according to their families. And then here's what Moshe gave. Now this is all on the other side of the Jordan. Not the side they're on now. This is on the east side. So we've got Reuben, we've got Gad. And then in verse 29, and Moshe gave inheritance unto the half tribe of Manasseh. And this was a possession of the half tribe of the children of Manasseh by their families. And then it goes over all the land they got. These 2.5 tribes were all on the eastern side. But unto the tribe of Levi, we're in verse 33, Moshe gave not any inheritance. The Lord God of Israel, Yahweh Elohim of Israel, was their inheritance, as he said unto them. Now, when we're reading about the land east of the Jordan, it says Moshe gave. Moses gave the land. Gave the land to Gad, gave the land to Reuben, gave the land to the half tribe of Manasseh. Did Moses really give it?
God did.
Right. It's like you ask him an either or question, and the answer is yes. Yes, he did give it, but he did it under the direction and inspiration and whatever. It was Yah who did it through Moses. Here's the land that you're getting, the designated land. The interesting thing is, we don't hear about any arguing of the tribes saying, well, wait a minute. you gave Gad that, and you gave me this, and Manasseh's only half a tribe, and they got that. How come I didn't? You don't hear any of that. Because people are accepting Yah's will. They're accepting Moshe as their leader. Now, we can remember back in the 40 years of wandering around in the wilderness, did they always happily accept Moses as their leader? They did not. They were a bunch of murmuring people, right? And Moses handled that perfectly, didn't he? That's a joke. I said this before when we were actually reading that for a sermon. Moses had anger issues. I had like 3 or 4 people take me to task on that. How can you say that? He's a man of God. Moses had anger issues. That's why he didn't get to come onto the other side of the Jordan. I mean, that's another sermon for another time. So there's tension. There's always tension. It doesn't mean everything's going to be sweetness and light. When the Father says this is yours, there's going to be tension. When the Father says this is what you get, there's still going to be tension, but we have to accept it. That's it for today. I think the main keys of what we read today, because we are geographically unlearned in this. And like I said, I'd have to do pull down maps and show you cities which wouldn't necessarily correlate to today anyway. And it's like, okay, that's nice to know. But the things are trust in Yah, to do the right thing and to continue doing what he gives us to do. He gives us tasks to do. If we don't know what task Yah is giving us to do, we're not listening. Because he's telling us. I mean, part of our, again, it's like a theme we go through. Part of our problem is we're so busy and our world is so noisy that we don't take time to listen to that still small voice of the Father. And I want to compare and contrast that with, I can't hear the voice, so I'm going to sit still and not do anything until I hear the voice. That's not what I'm saying. We have to take action. We have to move out in a direction and constantly be talking to him as we're moving. Is this what you want me to do? Is this where you want me to go? And seek his face, and he'll show it to us. But even though we start getting old and long in the tooth, and how was that phrased in the beginning? Stricken in years, you don't get to quit. You don't get to quit until he says so. And quite frankly, the whole version of retirement, where we just kick back, it's like an American version for many people. Not so much anymore, maybe. But many people think, I'm just going to retire and literally sit in my lazy boy and watch Oprah on TV for the rest of my days. That's no way to live, man. And that's not what the Father wants us to do. We've got to continue to push within his will. Let's pray.